Hi, this is Eric Fox Jackson, and this is a tutorial for shading and gradients in Illustrator. Let me delete some of these objects so we can get started. Alright, so I'm going to start with what everybody knows, which is obviously the gradient tool. So we'll start by going and opening the gradients palette, and we'll set it to our mid-tone color and our shadow color, which is just what we'll start working with here. Now, that's created some value, but it's not exactly creating the shape we want. And no matter what we do, it's still gonna just give us the same old effect. Just a flat paper with a light focused on it. That's not really what we want, and a lot of people would think, alright, so how can I remedy that? I'll use a radial blur, radial gradient, and, perfect, it's fixed. But the thing is, this isn't a perfect circle, so why would it cast a perfect circle highlight? And no matter what you do with it, you can play it anywhere you like, it's not going to look like you want it to look. So, this is the next step. What we can do is we can go to the gradient mesh tool, and you can click right here, or you can press U for gradient mesh tool, and click right here where you want the shadow, and select the shadow swatch that I made earlier. And you'll see you have a nice shadow which lineates to the shape of the pear which we're working on. Now, if I want to make a highlight, I'll just click up here and create that highlight. Now here's a problem. These objects are overlapping, and no matter what I do, that just doesn't end up looking right. I mean, maybe some sort of cubo-futurist fruit, but not in this situation. So, alas, we have to go back, and I guess, what would the solution to that be? You could use the Pathfinder and expand that, but when you use the gradient mesh tool now the shadow doesn't really lineate to the shape. It creates this strange band here outside of the shape of the pear instead of going, offset path inside of it. This isn't exactly what we want, as you'll see. So, once again, we'll go back to the original shape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this object, so we go to Edit, Copy, and then we're going to go to Edit, Paste in Front, or Control-C, Control-F. Now we're going to make this object that we just pasted on top white, because this is going to be our shadow object. The reason we're making this white is because we're making a multiply layer, multiply object. And whenever you use the multiply blending mode, which is in the transparency palette, anything that's white disappears, and anything that is made in color will sort of overprint over the colors it's over. Sort of like a printing press printing on top of each other, and you have the overprint colors. So what we're going to do here is we're once again going to use the gradient mesh, and we can just select the primary color here, and we're starting to already get a nice shadow. Maybe something you want is a little more dark, so we'll reselect that. Use the direct selection tool here. You can just press A as I did, and you can change this color, make it a nicer shadow. And this is exactly what we want here. A nice shadow that lineates to the shape of the pear. And now we'll do the same thing. We'll copy Command C or Control C, and Command C, F, and Command F, and but now we're going to do the opposite. since we're going to be making this a screen blending mode, we're going to make this object rich black. You can't just make simple grayscale black, which would just be 100% K. You have to make it full CMYK or RGB if you're working in RGB, but the default for Illustrator is CMYK. Full CMYK black. Now we'll make it into a screen. We'll go to transparency and we'll make it screen, and as you'll see, it's disappeared. You might see a black line around that. It doesn't show up when you export though. It's just a error in Illustrator lets you know there's another object there. Now we'll go to our gradient mesh tool, and once again you can just use that same color, and you're starting to really get an effect for the highlights for this object. Now you can move this object forward, lay it over the other object, and they interact nicely as well. Now you can just shorten this a little bit. So we're gonna select this spot right here. You're gonna try to click on the gradient mesh and edit these points as opposed to clicking next to it, which will create a new point, and it sort of starts to mess you up. So we'll click right here and we'll make this color a rich black as well. And you can really see it disappears and gives you a nice spot highlight. Now, with this technique, you can shade most objects. Sometimes you just have to break them down into smaller base objects in order to shade them. Even large, complex cars are just broken down into simple polygons and spheres and circles if you look at them and figure out how they're broken down. One last shading technique I'm going to show you, and it's the one that you have the most control with, is going to be using Gaussian blur. So what we're going to do here is we're going to select the pen tool, or you can just click P, and you're going to sort of shape. We're working on the stem here, so we're going to sort of make the shape of the shadow that the stem would have, and beyond the confines of the stem, it doesn't really matter where you go. So we're going to make it the same color as the stem, and we're going to set the blending mode once again to multiply. Now that makes almost an instant shadow for you. Now we're going to use the Gaussian blur tool. As you'll see, this is my 50th take, so it's already set to 7 pixels, which is nice for what we're doing. And we're going to select the stem. We're going to copy. We're going to paste it in front. We're going to bring this copied one all the way to the front and select both these objects here. You're going to go to Object, Clipping Mask, or Control 7, and that just made a clipping mask for this object, and it's starting to make a really nice shadow. Now we can change our hierarchy there so it hangs over, and that's starting to be a really nice shadow that, like I said, we have a lot of control over. You can go in here and you go to Edit Contents. You can change the effects by going to the appearance palette and changing any variety of, you can make it 10, you can make it 3, see what 3 looks like, more harsh shadow, more chiaroscuro, I guess, or, so you really have a lot of control over all aspects of shading in Adobe Illustrator. It's a lot more versatile than a lot of people give it credit for, and hopefully I've opened up a lot of facets for you. So once again, this is Erik Fox Jackson, and this has been shading and gradient techniques in Adobe Illustrator.